Hi, I'm Brian Tibbs from The Unexpected Investor, where we work with people who want to say bye bye to that financially stressed out life and say hello to a successful, wealthy, and generous, abundant life. On my last video, we talked about the forms of bad debt and how bringing on too much bad debt can just really weigh you down and essentially stop you from being able to build a substantial net worth and to make progress in your life. Today, I want to talk about a good form of debt. Now, let's say that you took my advice from the last video and you've gotten rid of all of that bad debt that's been weighing you down. And let's also just assume that you were paying somewhere around $1,000 a month in interest that you're no longer having to pay. And instead of paying for interest, you're now investing that $1,000. Let's say you've been doing that for a few months or a couple of years, and now you've built up a nest egg of $40,000. Well, $40,000 still isn't enough to go out and buy a piece of real estate, for example, at least not in most markets in the country today. What you need to do in order to be able to begin to invest in that higher level and higher return asset class of real estate is you've got to bring on debt to help you. Now, I want to explain how bringing on real estate debt is actually a tool. It's a positive thing. And to do that, I have an illustration. If you've ever heard of Archimedes, he is famous for one saying that he said, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to put it, and I can move the world." And what he was basically just explaining is the power of tools to make something happen that otherwise is much more difficult to happen. So we've got this nail in this block of wood. If I were to take the hammer and just literally just pull on this nail to try to get it to come out, I could pull with all my strength and that nail's not going to come out. But if I use the power of the lever and the fulcrum, this nail comes out quite easily. That is a similar thing to what is happening when you use debt to purchase assets that produce an income. And in this illustration today, we're going to talk about real estate specifically. All right, so now let's apply Archimedes' lever to the idea of using debt as leverage to buy real estate and how that's going to affect our long-term wealth building. If you were to invest $1,000 a month, let's say in a mutual fund, and you're getting the average of the stock market, it would take you over 10 years in order to stockpile $200,000 to be able to buy a house outright. So let's say you've been going at this for a few months instead of 10 years, and you've stockpiled $40,000. Well, if you set $40,000 on this lever with your leverage all the way over here with your $40,000 representing you don't have any mortgage or no loan at all, the $40,000 cannot acquire the $200,000 house. What you need to do is get a loan for $160,000 plus your $40,000 down payment, and I'm moving this fulcrum over to represent the leverage that the loan gives us. So now our $40,000 nest egg is able to acquire a $200,000 house. Now let's also assume that this $200,000 house is producing enough rent that it's going to cover our mortgage payment, insurance, taxes, all the repairs, and even some vacancy. And it's going to cover all of those expenses. It's break even. You're not going to get any profit, but it's just paying all the bills. So you get the loan, you buy the house, and it's just scratch to start with, okay? But here is where the leverage of a loan gets to be so powerful for building wealth over long term. Housing has a track record, hundreds of years of track record. But if you look over the last several decades, housing has been going up in value by an average of 4% per year. Sometimes it goes up more, sometimes it goes down, but an average is 4% per year. The same thing is happening to rents. So let's fast forward this process. We got a 30-year fixed loan. Let's fast forward this thing out 18 years, okay? And we're going to represent the loan getting paid down by this moving further and further and further over. Now our $40,000 investment is easily supporting this $200,000 house. 18 years after we got our loan, at a 4% annual appreciation, or the value of the property going up every year for 18 years, would mean we now own a house that's worth $400,000. Okay? Now, we started out with $40,000 and a $160,000 loan, but our tenants, all through those 18 years, have been paying our mortgage payments. So now our mortgage balance is only $103,000. Our $40,000 initial investment means that our $40,000 initial investment and that loan has created $257,000 in value for us. We are building wealth through the power of leverage on real estate. But that's not even the last part of it. When we bought this house, the rents just barely covered all the expenses. But because the tool, the leverage of this loan, is a fixed mortgage payment, and because inflation not only pushes up the value of our house, but it pushes up the value that we charge for our rent, we've increased our rent, but our mortgage payment, which is the biggest expense, has stayed the same. We're now pocketing $2,200 a month profit in our pockets every single month. That's the power of good debt. If any of this sounds interesting to you, or if you're intrigued at least by the idea, but you're not sure how to get started, I'm actually here to help you. That's my mission and my purpose, is I want to help people get freed from the trappings of debt that keeps us from making progress and building significant wealth. Go to theunexpectedinvestor.com or all social media, Unexpected Investor, and reach out to me directly. I want to help you.